Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of LunarCRUSH Live. Today, we've got Joban and Matthew from Realm.Art. We're super excited to learn all about what Realm is, the hot topic of Metaverses, NFTs, strategies. It says pets in here. We're going to be answering questions. Disclaimer always, we do not take payment for our live stream. We bring on cool projects and people that are building and have dedicated their careers to the space. Make sure you guys get in there and ask some questions for the team. Whatever you got, we'll try to get to those as we go through the show. And then get that subscribe button, slam that subscribe button. I don't think I'll ever be able to say that without laughing. And with that, let's bring on Joban, and then Matthew is going to be joining us partway through the show. He's having a little travel issue somewhere internationally, so he'll be on in a second. But Joban, my man, how's it going?
Hi guys, very good, very good. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, no, man, thank you so much for being a part of this and coming on to teach us and the community about what you guys are working on. So we always like to start with where are you in the world and what's it like there?
I'm in Portugal right now, and it's
Nice.
very sunny and there's amazing waves. So when I'm not working, I like to surf. So I'm out here in Portugal.
All right, let's cancel all crypto talk. We're just talking about surfing for the next hour. Are you anywhere near Nazaré?
Yeah, here you go. I knew
are
you
you
were going to ask that.
barreling in the 89-foot waves and 4-minute breath holds?
Got a picture of Nazaré on the wall back there, and yeah, no, I'm quite close actually. I mean, not that I've ever ridden anything like that, but yeah, I'm a big surfing fan.
Very cool, man. Yeah, no, we've not to all of the new subscribers that we're going to give to HBO here, but yeah, the 100-foot wave show, like on HBO, I'm sure you've watched it. What an amazing tale of Garrett McNamara, and he's like the Tom Cruise of Portugal. Like I didn't know that he was like, high celebrity there now, but I mean, with all of what he's done, it was pretty amazing. I'm sure you watched that.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about you and your journey into the cryptocurrency industry and blockchain and NFTs and how you made it around to Realm.
Yeah, I guess it's been a pretty long journey. Like I've been in startups in like Web 2.0 for most of my career, really. I was in music, worked for a company called Mixcloud for quite a while. They do like DJ mixes and that kind of thing. And then some other audio streaming. And around that time, I got into trading on BTC back in the day. And that was and then I sort of left crypto for a few years and just continued focusing on startups. I was in a lot of Web 2 businesses. And me and Matt actually started a business in 2013 that was kind of an internal positioning system for smartphones. And then we went to Ibiza and installed that in a lot of the music clubs out there. So you could find your friends, basically. So we did that for about 5 years. And in the meantime, I sort of got really back interested in the EVM and what Ethereum can do for the world, really. And so, yeah, that was kind of started getting back into crypto through that. And from that point on, we sort of started Realm after exiting that business a few years ago. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I can see how, if you're down the music and the art route, like how the kind of NFT portion of the industry, like you kind of like gravitate towards that. And it's like, it's so fun to see, the first place that people enter the industry now, like a lot of people, is through like art, where it's just so much more interesting and fun, I think, to a broader audience than like, hey, go buy $40 in Bitcoin and like hold it for your entire life and never sell it. Like it just sounds like the most boring thing on earth. Versus, which some people love, and like, that's how we got in. So obviously we love it enough. But being able to be kind of part of this like new wave. I mean, is it like when you started kind of thinking around what you wanted to build and you started to kind of see NFTs? I mean, did you know what NFT was like off the bat? Did it take time to kind of understand like the uniqueness of that? Like, what did you think when you first started kind of getting in?
Yeah, no, I mean, it is a weird concept for a lot of people, I think, but, I've been involved in digital art itself for ages, and, followed Beeple and all that for a long time before he was making NFTs, right? So I think it's a really interesting concept. And at first, you think, oh, it's just a JPEG or whatever, but then it raises all these wider issues around ownership and the value of digital art, which I think haven't been touched upon for a long time. So, it is valid, super valid work, basically. It's got a lot of artistic merit, and I think it's allowed. But, there's all sorts of stuff now around music royalties and just general digital rights, which have been sort of simmering for many years, I think. So I think it's a really good development in general. I think also, obviously, because we're more we're sort of in the intersection of games and art, etc. So I think the way, having actual tangible in-game assets is another thing that's really going to kick off over the next few years, and that will get even more people involved, really, because that's something that kind of functions within a platform that you're, heavily emotionally invested in by playing in the game.
Yeah, it's like when people talk about, oh, it's just a JPEG. It's like, well, did millions of people interact with JPEGs the way that they're interacting with NFTs, or even pay over like $1 for it? Like, it's like, obviously there's something more here than just, this kind of basic thing. And like you were saying, like rights and access and royalties, and like that, once people kind of understand that that's the route that some of this stuff is going, I think it just takes on this whole nother level.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And we can now create so many more interactive experiences around NFTs. There's all this whole movement of fractionalizing, pieces of art, which is awesome. And there's just so much more that's going to come out of this movement, I think. I can't wait to be a part of all of that, really, especially around in-game / 3D items. Yeah.
Who do you think has done it right so far?
Who do I think has done it right? I mean, I don't know. There's so many strands, aren't there? There's all the kind of PFP, movement, which is interesting in itself. And obviously the CryptoPunks and all that did it really well. The Bored Apes have absolutely smashed it. I mean, with that, it's like creating an amazing brand and an amazing community around your kind of 10,000 unique items, right? And then I guess you can spin it out into further ones. But I'm just really excited to see kind of where it goes in terms of in-game assets, etc. I haven't really seen. There's a lot of projects coming out that look really promising around that, but I haven't really seen like the perfect implementation yet.
Yeah, the Bored Apes one is an interesting example, because there's the Mutant Apes, then there's the Kennel Club, and even if you just go to their site, you feel there's a brand, there's something going on there. They're not done.
Yeah, it's a great brand.
There's like a lot more, and it's kind of interesting. Like Axie Infinity is pretty interesting. What's going on over there? A lot of success, a lot of growth. They're just behind OpenSea in terms of a marketplace.
Yeah,
so pretty.
I mean, Axie is really interesting. It's obviously amazing. There's a very high cost to enter the ecosystem, which I think, like, it obviously works, and it allows them to create something that is play to earn, because there's a lot of cash coming in initially, right? But I feel like for a more inclusive play to earn, you need to kind of lower that barrier to entry a bit, and start to build economies that work without $1,000 in for 3 Axies or whatever. But
Right.
I still think it's an awesome model. It's great, but I think there'll be other models coming out in terms of play to earn at some point soon.
So exciting.
Yeah.
So maybe tell us. I mean, let's back up. Tell everyone that's listening what is a metaverse?
What is a metaverse? I mean, a metaverse is fundamentally a kind of an alternate universe where all aspects of our life can be sort of reinvented, but also we can enact the same kind of functions that we do in the real world, but just in a new altered dimension. That's what I would call the metaverse.
And why is it important now? Like, why is it important to crypto, and why now?
I think it's important because, I mean, it's been a dream of sci-fi. It's been a dream of the creative consciousness for a very long time. I mean, you can go back, Second Life and loads of kind of old. There's been a lot of old metaverses, right? But they were never really tied to currency or value, or to any real world like measures of value, right? There was a lot of in-game currency, etc., and a lot of kind of status. But I think with crypto, it's really interesting because it allows all this very valid digital creativity and society, really, like digital society, to kind of begin to exist on a financial level as well, which is not something that was really possible up to until quite recently. And ties into NFTs, it ties into digital currency, it ties into all of these new strands that are just coming together into, into gaming and really just virtual worlds. We're creating, infinite virtual worlds, but tied together through the Realm universe.
Cool. So it looks like you've got Matt backstage. I'm going to add him on. He can't, his camera's not working, but we'll hopefully get some voiceover. Joban, if you wanted to kind of share your screen and show us a little bit too, about what we're looking at.
We'll let Matt introduce himself. Hey, Matt.
What's up, Matt? Can you hear us now from wherever in the metaverse you're calling in from?
Yeah, sorry about that. My device just won't seem to connect to the Rise internet, so I've had to swap to a phone that's got a cracked
No worries,
camera.
man. We've been enjoying the conversation with Joban
I was
here.
listening to Joban anyway.
Well,
Yeah,
cool.
it's good to hear him talk for once.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background and why you're passionate about the space and NFTs and Metaverse and everything else.
Yeah, okay. So I guess back at university, I studied law and things like that.
Matthew, it looks like we've got a pretty weak connection there. Try holding your phone over your head in the air. I heard that probably will help.
Then I started to try.
You might need to reconnect here, bud.
All right, well, we can just roll on. I will show you a little bit of what we're building.
Yeah, let's see it.
Sweet. So how do this?
It'll be a fun. It's just everything looks so cool. Like kind of going through the site here. So we're like, it might be fun for you to be able to show people a little bit. And if everyone wants to go kind of check it out, if you're on some spot where you might be able to check it out, it's just Realm.Art, REALM.Art.
All right, so I can show you a few things. So I guess one of the interesting things we could talk about is actually someone who's kind of doing good art in the NFT space, and that's Kid8. He's like already a well-known NFT artist. Sorry, here we're just like running around a little demo portal lobby scene, but we'll jump through a portal in a second. And basically what we did here, when we go through.
Yeah, if you want to, Joban, if you want to share your screen there, like you should be able to, it'll say share on the bottom, and then I'll be able to kind of put it up here on screen.
Let's see. Sorry, dude. I did think I did that.
Oh. Yep. Cool.
That's working.
There you go. So yeah,
Awesome.
there you go.
Cool.
Very cool.
Sweet. So here we have a few, like this is just a test scene where a kind of lobby where people can kind of meet up and run around. So we've got a cross-platform, it's a cross-platform system multiplayer, so you can play across mobile, PC, whatever platform, honestly, all the multiplayer. And here we got sort of, this is basically a piece of art by Kid8, who's an NFT artist, where we basically took all his 3D files and turned it into a world, and we're building a load of mini games on it at the moment. So this is just like a very early demo, and yeah, so that's kind of related. So he sold this piece as an NFT, and it was kind of had his character just going around, and then we basically we built this render pipeline where you can basically take any piece of art, run it into our engine, and create a kind of playable space out of it. So that's one little demo I can show you.
Very cool. And so that was a render.
Yeah, this is a piece of art by Kid8, which he sold as an NFT, but then he gave us all the 3D files, and we ran them through a pipeline, and we've created like a playable space that people can explore, and we'll be building kind of buggy racing and things inside this space. So it's also kind of an example that we can take like fairly complex files and turn them quite easily into a 3D space, really. So yeah, we're speaking to a load of artists about doing that kind of thing.
So
Cool.
So what's the model? Like, what's the incentivization model for these artists, and why do they want to be involved? What does it look like for them to be involved? How do they get started? All of that stuff.
Yeah, so what we're doing there is we've got this buggy racing coming in here, which is like a kind of just a gamification. And I think a lot of artists just want to add another dimension to their work. Financially, also we'll be selling avatars, so custom avatars based on his work, which people can kind of win through winning the races or just buy. So there is a financial incentive there as well. But I think honestly, it's more of it's an intellectual interest in you know, in just expanding their artistic horizons and kind of entering this, you know, letting people actually get inside the artwork rather than just putting an MP4 on, you know, on a site that looks like eBay really, which is like OpenSea. You know, it's not the full. We believe that there's more that we can do with this amazing virtual art in the end.
It's awesome. Super cool.
Yeah, if there's anything else you want to show, just let me know and I can add it back.
This is like a little video with a few people running around. This is one of our realms, and you can kind of see, you know, we've got a variety of things going on here. We've got these kind of eggs where people find NFTs. We've got these coins which will give you like real life realm tokens, and you can just sort of run around with your friends. And we've got all these quests where you can basically just find different sets of items within a series, within a season, right? So a season lasts for a couple of months. There'll be different series of NFTs that you can find if you play enough. This is the Temple of Doge, which is quite funny, and we'll be doing some kind of events in there. And I'm just showing you a few things we've got. This is like a massive art gallery where we put some kind of collector's art pieces. So yeah, we're kind of working on a lot of things with a lot of people, and soon we'll be launching a build of this where everyone can sort of explore and play and kind of get currency and NFTs. And then obviously the end goal is for everyone to build their own realm, which will be coming sort of towards the end of the year, and that will allow everyone to kind of take the building blocks of any of these spaces really, and create their own world, which can then be accessed through, you know, by their friends, etc.
So you mentioned Second Life earlier, and I seem to recall, I think I still have some Linden bucks lying around somewhere, but like I seem to recall attending an IBM meeting inside of Second Life, like distant past, long time ago, and it makes me wonder. I mean, what kind of, I guess, use cases and demand are you seeing? I mean, are you seeing that it's going to be a lot of gaming? Are you seeing is there B2B play? Is there like what kind of things?
I mean, what we've mainly found uptake on recently is obviously like gaming, the gaming community and the art community. I mean, the B2B play is an interesting one. I didn't really like, you know, we all saw the Zuckerberg idea of a metaverse, and it was not very compelling in my opinion. So I'm not sure if we'll ever, you know, I think we could see like some interesting kind of conferences, you know, like metaverse conferences or NFT conferences. You know, we've got live audio streaming, you know, into the realms as well. So, you know, like there's a lot of clubhouse rooms where people discuss art and you can't see the art, and it's kind of like weird. So I think there's definitely some space for, say, a really nice gallery where people can have talks and interact whilst actually looking at the work, and you know, even having 3D works where people can actually like walk around and experience them while the artist talks about them. So I think that's that's something we're really keen to pursue. But also there, I mean, play to earn in the sense of, you know, gamers can come in, and if they put enough time in and if they master the mini games, etc., then they will get valuable rewards from, you know, for their effort. So that's our main focus at the moment. And obviously we're launching on mobile, so we hope to basically gain access to a much wider market than we might otherwise do.
You mentioned Facebook. What did they do wrong with their metaverse?
I mean, it wasn't a metaverse, was it? It was a bit like it was like spatial, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It felt like a version of spatial, and you know, with the kind of floating torso and stuff. I mean, it was very corporate, right? And I don't think that's where we want to go, really. We don't want to create another corporate construct. That kind of leads me on to this video, which is actually like a video of our metropolis, which is the land that we're going to be parceling up and selling. But I think we're approaching it in a very different way. Actually, I can just show you the video. So this land sale is going live pretty soon, and it's sort of this city floating in space with all these portals in it.
Wow.
Oh, yes, man.
Pretty cool. And so we have these different portals and different tiers of land. It's this huge city, and basically we're selling kind of, it grows out from the center, and there's very few pieces in the middle, a few here, much more here, and then it gets much more towards the end. So we're
Beautiful.
launching that yeah, cheers. So we're launching that next week, and I'll stop streaming now if that's all right. Yeah, we're launching that next week, and I think what we're trying to do is marry the ideas of having premium land, but also allowing everyone to build for free. Because obviously the metaverse currently, like Decentraland, like, you know, any of the big ones, honestly, it's very limited. You can't build unless you own a plot, and that's quite exclusive. And that sort of links into the fact that, you know, we don't want to recreate the inequalities of this world in the new world. And so we're going to allow everybody to build their realm for free, but you can buy space in the metropolis, and that space, sort of, you saw the ball in the middle, that's the singularity that sort of unites the realm universe, and everybody spawns into there. So obviously the first plots get a lot of footfall. They're sort of like an advert, right? And you know, so people discover those portals much more readily. But at the same time, if you build something that everybody loves, then there's community portals, where your realm will be featured in the central metropolis if it's got a lot of popular traction, basically.
So yeah, that's interesting what you were saying. Like some of the existing, you know, applications that have been built out there. Like we've seen a lot of like, yeah, well, you can buy, you know, you can buy a plot of land in any sort of grid on planet Earth, and in one sense, they kind of use that to create scarcity. And what you're saying is there's almost no end. Like you could keep going and going and going forever, or is there some sort of kind of theoretical limit towards what could be built?
No, there's no limit. I mean, well, obviously there's a limit to the size of your individual realm, just in terms of, like, you know, performance, that we have limitations on hardware and, you know, gaming performance, etc. But in terms of the number of realms, there really is no limit. I mean, it's an infinite metaverse, because yeah, everybody can create. And that was sort of the genesis of the product, right? Is that the three founders were talking about what our ideal metaverse might be, and obviously they were really different. And we kind of came up with this concept of the microverse, where essentially everyone can create their own perfect world, their own small little, you know, parcel of the metaverse, and they're linked by these portals, but they're not constrained by land or a little box on a grid or owning anything. You know, it's a much more creative outlook we're trying to take.
I think what excites me the most about it's like people are finally, these business models are changing, and people like play to earn, right? Like I'm just thinking about like the quantity of time I probably spent like playing EverQuest from ages like 11 to 15, like, and it's like, sure, maybe I probably earned, you know, I learned a lot about like, you know, community building, and like maybe some weird leadership skills came out of that, but like you didn't actually earn, right? But it's like we're moving into this world where any sort of product that you're going to interact with, you're going to earn something from that and become a part of that community in such a greater way. And it's like, to me, that's like the most exciting part. And it's like, it always starts with gaming, right? It's just like, cause it's like, you're always pushing the edge, you know, when it comes to like trying to find that next tier of the way that the world's going to interact. And like, so it like, as people are building these their own metaverses, are they going to each be able to earn, are they going to be able to launch their own token kind of like inside of those?
It's a good point. So we haven't planned for them to launch their own token necessarily, but we do have some really cool mechanics there. So we've got a concept called NFTs, which is basically tickets for your realm, right? So you can basically, obviously it can be free, but you can also charge in a multitude of ways. So you could have an event, say, that gives you access for one evening. You could have a ticket that gives you access for a year or for a week, or, you know, any form of access. And essentially all that is an NFT on Polygon. So if you hold that NFT, you can enter, and that actually gives us some really interesting opportunities, because, you know, that monetizes the realm for the owner, or they can actually set a split. So, you know, if they're doing an event with an artist, they can split it between the revenue between the artist and the owner, etc. So a bit like any event space in real life. But also it allows you to do some quite cool things. So say a project like Bored Apes or something, you can set it so that only people who own those NFTs can actually enter, right? So it doesn't have to be a ticket that they buy. It can just be, you know, some kind of a club type thing, really. So there's loads of things. So we're doing a lot of work around access, and then also around just commerce within the realm. So you take the vast majority, we take a very small platform fee, and actually the platform fee we split between, you know, developing the product, and the other half goes back into a foundation which will reward people for staking and people for, you know, basically we have a big feedback loop. We've actually put 25% of the entire token supply aside anyway to reward creators over the next 5 years. So like we're going to be pumping tokens back towards consumers and creators.
It's all about getting it back in the community's hands, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you mentioned Polygon. I'd love to talk a little bit more about that. So is the Realm token built on Polygon and the NFTs you mentioned as well?
No, so the token is ETH predominantly. So that's the native base token. We've actually bridged over to both BSC and Polygon. We just did an IDO where we launched on Pancake and Uniswap. So we did a BSC and an ETH launch, but all of our sort of main NFT processing heavy stuff occurs on Polygon, just because it's got a very well developed ecosystem. Like it's really good as a developer. It's really good. It costs like nothing in terms of transactions. It's really efficient. It's just it's probably the best like side chain out there really at the moment, we think. So but you know, you can also bridge your Polygon assets over to Ethereum, and in the future over to BSC as well. So I think one of our things, you know, we came from Web 2 and we built a lot of products there. And I think UX is really important to us. So ideally, if you're bringing in people who aren't crypto natives to the ecosystem, they should be able to interact with all these chains without really realizing. Like we want to abstract a lot of the complexity of, you know, whether I'm on AVAX or whether I'm on BSC or, you know, is my Realm on Polygon. Like we really want to sort of make it real seamless for people to trade between them, and just interact with the blockchain. We'll be doing that through some like in-app payments and on-ramps, etc.
It's really, really interesting topic. I mean, because like there's blockchain interoperability, and then there's like, does this get to a point of say like metaverse interoperability? I mean, there's multiple metaverses being built. Can I buy one thing in one and use it in another? Is that coming? Do you see a future with that happening?
Yeah, I mean, it keeps coming up. It would be awesome. There's a lot of barriers to that at the moment. Mostly just because any kind of 3D assets, etc. It's not like most of the time the NFT you're buying doesn't include all the 3D files, etc. that anyone else can render. You know, it's like there's a lot of problem between engines, etc., etc. But I think in the future, obviously, we're going that way for sure. And I think that's one of the first things that we'll be doing is we're working with, say, like the Polychain Monsters, you know, the Pokemon team, etc. We've done a partnership with them, and we're going to be bringing some of their creatures to life in the Realm Metaverse and vice versa. So it's like it's definitely possible. It just takes a bit of collaboration between the teams. It's not something that works out the box at this point.
I literally can't believe we're talking about metaverse interoperability right now.
Wait, did you say you're going to be bringing Pokemon?
No, Pokemon. You know that? Yeah, you know the little dragons, etc. Not Pokemon.
Oh, okay. I was
But
like,
yeah, super cool project actually. Yeah, really nice. That would be an epic partnership, though. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh man, dropping something right now.
No, but yeah, also a really cool project. To be fair.
Yeah, no, and it's like like you talked about the UX right now, and it's like John and I talk about this all the time. Kind of same thing coming from Web 2. It's like, you know, right now the blockchain is just in your face, right? And it's like, you know, like this like hexadecimal key that I need to copy and paste. Did I copy and paste it right, or did I like accidentally copy, you know, like the gift that I was sending to someone, or like whatever it may be? It's like, I feel like we need to get to it's like, it's such an interesting part of this industry, because it's like, if you do kind of push some of that to the background, then there is the narrative in the space of like, then every time you push it further to the background, you know, it's less and less controllable by you as the individual. And like, you know, so it's like, how do you see, you know, still holding the line on kind of like, you know, autonomy of self and autonomy of like ownership of what you're doing, but then also ease of use.
Yeah, I do understand. I think that is obviously a line that needs to be trod really carefully. I think it's also like it's all about giving people like options, right? So if they are a more advanced user and they do want to, take their asset and, sell it wherever they want, etc., we obviously support that. We've got an OpenSea integration. We're not stopping anyone doing anything like that. I think it's more just like at the moment, it feels a bit like you go to like the store and some items are in dollars and some items are in, euros and whatever. It's just super confusing, right? So you have to change blockchains, etc. So I think we just want to abstract some of that. But sure, if you're a native, then it shouldn't be. There's no barrier to you, taking it, selling it anywhere, or doing anything with the asset. Yeah.
Yeah, no, optionality is important. I think that is the best answer. So we got Matt back.
Hey.
Potentially.
Hopefully it works.
There it is. You sound great, man.
Yeah, the video seems to be good on your side, so I think I've got enough bandwidth.
No worries, dude.
Joban's answer was pretty correct there. I think from my perspective, I tend to think of the blockchain aspect of Metaverses being more about sort of delivery of sort of payments and services and goods. So it's like a really good sort of pipeline to sort of move and transfer these valuable assets between individuals. I just think when it comes to UX, it's clearly not the way a mass consumed product needs to be built. Absolutely not. So it's like try and abstract it away as much as possible, enable someone to send it to a wallet on whatever blockchain they want, simplify that process.
Yeah, no. And how do you guys think about, it's like when you're building like like for us, like we're building like a platform and analytics and social listening, and you've got a different interaction level. It's like you guys almost have like another vector to play with when it comes to like payment and interaction. Because it's like, oh, you're earning some of these tokens, but that token is now this like real life thing that I like run into and like explodes or whatever it may be. It's like, how do you guys go about planning some of that? And like, where do you start? Do you start with like, hey, we want to like interject, some sort of token at this piece, and then we're going to explode it or do whatever we're going to do to it? Or do you kind of work backwards?
It's quite a lot of modeling, to be honest, that goes into it. Like, when you're giving away real things with real value, you have to kind of model out a lot, also deal with some, much more boring stuff like cheating and gaming, etc. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But yeah, we're always modeling out, the drop rates and that kind of thing that can occur in the metaverse. Else, you can have some unexpected consequences. But from a creative side, I mean, it's super fun. You just, whatever you can imagine, you can build, really.
Yeah, I suppose I'd add to that by saying that it's a bit like it has to be balanced. So we've got the play to earn concept where people who explore and essentially play the game, run around, discover things of value, NFTs of value, ERC20 tokens, Realm tokens, and potentially partners tokens in the future. So you have that one side, which is really sort of about exploration. And then on the other side, we've got this whole concept of kind of build to earn. So it's like, in order for people to stay engaged, we need them to be able to explore more and more spaces. So balancing, hey, like if someone say ran around for a little bit, was like, this is kind of cool. Maybe I'm going to build my own micro game in here, and they've already earned some tokens. They could then basically stake those tokens, unlock a bunch of extra functionality inside a realm or a micro game that they would build themselves. And then when more people come in there, they'll be rewarded. The builder will be rewarded, and the person who plays the game will be rewarded. And sort of in the middle, you've got this kind of this economy, which is just these tokens cycling between the two entities.
How do you deal with infrastructure on this? I mean, I'd imagine these files are rather large, and I mean, like I have to imagine your infrastructure is somewhat centralized. I don't know if you're using AWS or some service like that, but like Joban, you mentioned you can scale this infinitely. People can build realms to no end, and so as that happens, how do you deal with scaling what's behind all this?
No, there is a lot of infrastructure going on in the background. It's AWS at the moment for the gameplay aspect, just because we're actually speaking to some interesting partners as well. We do want to create a full distributed server system at some point, but at the moment you just wouldn't get the performance that you require. So
Yep.
but I mean, actually, when you think about it, you know, you've got some initial load when you load a world, but then the multiplayer, you know, multiplexing is actually pretty small packets, so it's not actually that bad. It's just like loading a lot of instances of worlds, and obviously going down the line, I guess I see the future of this being server-side rendering, and you know, so everyone's just streaming it from centrally processed servers. But actually, that would be a lot more server intensive. So it's an interesting one.
You can also build out sort of blocks, modules essentially, which are creating these worlds, and then restore those modules once, and then we're basically just putting them together by calling like part 1, part 58, and so on and so forth, and placing them in a grid structure, which makes it fairly computationally efficient.
Yeah, you guys have this is a much more complicated problem to solve than like, say, build a news website, you know, with a bunch of text on it. It's exponentially more difficult.
Yeah, I guess so. But you know, you've got there's some pretty complex products out there already, you know, that have solved a lot of these problems before. But I mean, definitely, if it gets infinite, then storage is going to be an issue, and bandwidth, etc. But so the economy, right, has to be right in order to support that financial cost, basically. Yeah.
So on that topic of scaling, how many trees have you planted, and how many trees do you plan on planting?
We've only planted a few trees, but we're only in alpha at the moment. But yeah, we'll be matching. So we have this concept of the last tree. It's this like beautiful tree that sort of that sustains organic life in the metaverse, and you basically go there and you get the seeds and you go and plant the seeds, and from when you plant the seed, it will germinate and create a tree, and we'll plant a tree through our partners, broccolini reforestation. So I mean, it's an attempt to offset some of our carbon impact and to make a real, you know, mark on the real world.
It's wonderful.
Sort of
Great idea.
Yeah, it's so the trees make fruit, and then we have the Realm.Art characters that kind of need to be fed. So there's like this cycle as it sort of moves through, and each person's connected with their Realm.Art character as they're trying to sort of, you know, level them up and stuff as they explore and keeping them happy. So yeah, the whole thing kind of, I guess, matches the way you would think of a normal sort of economy, or I don't know, just ecological system.
Now, are there multiple different types of trees, and can I go to that tree in real life somewhere and visit it?
There's currently one type of tree, but we're certainly, I think like the concept will be that we, as we bring out like more realms, they would maybe have like their own native type of plants or something like that. So we'd be like, you know, integrating more trees or more variation in what we would call the genetics, I guess. So yeah, like that's the concept for sure. And as for seeing where they are, you know, is what's necessary, but a lot of these tree planting organizations, they're still a little bit behind on it. I've spoken with Broccoli, who's somebody like an organization that we're partnering with soon that's doing sort of sustainability on the blockchain. And yeah, I was discussing the concept that, well, maybe can they get satellite imagery to see where like these trees are being planted, for instance, so we can check how green it is.
That'd be super cool. And yeah, it's just a nice touch, adding in that little like offline piece to it. And even if there was like a picture of it, it'd be pretty cool. But just kind of bringing that back to real life, where everyone's, you know, trying to understand a little bit better about, like, you know, bringing to light, you know, it does take like work and power and effort to bring these things to life.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's where you have to try and lean on partners, to be honest, to deliver things in a reasonable amount of time.
For sure. Some pretty cool. I mean, just like looking at some of the imagery here, it's like on your site, I'm looking at the one where it's like it's some sort of like AR, where it's like you're showing, and I might be, I'll share it here, but it's like you're showing this
into
kind of
like a world.
Yeah, like into an actual world. And it's just like, it's like, I want to go visit that. I want to see that. Like this is like, looks like somewhere in Japan, maybe, to me. I don't know. But it's like, what is there going to be like an AR portion of some of the things that are going to be happening here?
Yeah, I think we've got a video. It's on YouTube actually, but yeah, we've done some quite cool stuff with AR, like basically giving you a window into the realm. Maybe I could bring it up.
Yeah, I'll carry on while Joban looks for that. Yeah, I guess we were more interested in utilizing augmented reality technology just because we don't have a hardware issue. I mean, there's like 16 million VR units in the world. So personally, I feel that's a little bit early, but everyone's kind of got a smartphone. So yeah, we're doing a few things with it. So like portals that pop out and you can sort of walk through the portals, find yourself inside realms. We're doing like using this thing called occlusion a bit, where, you know, if you put your arm out and stuff, we'll track your arm and try and like make you interact with sort of characters inside the virtual world. And then vice versa, sort of trying to sort of animate your realm or whatever, like crawling out of a portal or from the metaverse into like your living room. Some more boring things, maybe along the lines, well, not necessarily boring, but more conventional, more along the lines of, say, like you find a piece of art that looks really cool inside a realm, and then you flick a button and then you can see it on your wall in AR. And, you know, I guess the next step to that is to be able to say, put it onto a screen, like one of the screens that Atomic Form has. And then, yeah, the really like trippy stuff that we're working on is, so like placing your face inside a realm, and say you're in front of like a digital sculpture, like an NFT sculpture, and then we're able to take a selfie of you with the sculpture right there in the background, and sort of put you physically in a virtual space doing selfies with virtual objects.
That is kind of trippy, like just getting like, because like I can see like the rendering that you're talking about at the beginning, Joban, where it's like, now that's me, like physically there. And like I love that idea of like bringing the art home, you know, and it's like maybe you can toss it up on like your bedroom wall and like put your phone up and see it there, and it's like, oh, this is a little treasure that I took home.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, actually, yeah, so I got this little video which I can just share.
Yeah, if you want to share what you got.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess we're quite excited by the concept that maybe we'll get some, you know, Apple AR glasses, etc. pretty soon.
Yeah, ones that do something. Oh yeah, yeah. So this is like something from the AR concept.
Oh, Joban showing a hand,
So
kind of going in and turning into a robot into the metaverse.
What?
Yeah, so you're like moving into your like avatar.
Yeah. No, like mixed reality, like that piece of that, just like, I mean, you're in it. You just went in it.
That is cool.
Is that a dragon puppy?
It's a crypto kitty that we turned into a 3D like interactive pet.
It's cute.
Did
Oops, I just literally just removed everyone. I was trying to remove Joban's and then it just kept going. You're back.
Hang on.
We're back.
Very cool, you guys. That's pretty epic. You know, I can definitely see that you guys are pushing, you know, what's possible, and I think that the community is going to appreciate that.
Yeah, I think adoption will sort of hover around the concept of like how tangible it can feel to a lot of people, especially when there's like value to it and stuff like this. So it's like, you know, what is this object or this pet or this thing that they sort of find, and it happens to be really rare, and it's like, what can they do with it? And, you know, how much can they sell it for? Do they get emotional connections to them? Could they take it to another metaverse? All of these things are kind of what we think about.
So on the note of selling it, you know, are you building an integrated marketplace? How does that all come together?
Yeah, we've got a marketplace. We've been closely watching the kind of Epic versus Apple stuff, and obviously since we're mobile first, we took a kind of a different approach, and we've basically got a DApp that is a trading DApp, so people can trade, but you know, buy items from Realm, buy items, put items for sale, and buy them off each other, etc. So that'll be launching sort of after our alpha phase, but that we've actually built that already. So that's mostly on Polygon, so people can trade their items with the wrapped Realm token over there.
Very cool. And so what else can the community look forward to with Realm? Like what is the next, I guess, few weeks, months, and hopefully years? What does that look like?
We've got a land staking event, so we're launching the first of our land mining events next week, and that's essentially going to be a really cool thing where you stake Realm tokens and you get rewarded in Realm shards every day for every Realm token you've staked. And once you have enough, you can purchase one of the parcels of land using that and a stable coin. So that's coming pretty soon. And then we'll be rolling out the alpha product in October for select. We're going through a few rounds of alpha release, but yeah, we'll be getting it into the hands of users next month.
And I'll add, we'll be adding the Realm token to LunarCRUSH shortly as well. I'll add that to your list.
Cool.
Brilliant. Yeah, and then I guess just for the slightly more long term, we've got I think development's going to really focus on building these simple creation tools. We want people to be able to sort of make a space, whether it's like procedurally generate an environment for a realm, start to add, with a couple of clicks, like trees, different objects to the space, and so on and so forth. I guess it's probably the hardest problem that we'll have to solve to try and make building in a metaverse really simple. But that's going to, be like the next quarter.
And what kind of team do you guys have behind this? Like, what size is your team? And I'm sure you guys are kind of getting started, and it's small. I mean, what are some of the main pieces that you guys are trying to kind of fill that out with?
It's growing for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Joban will probably give you a better idea. I think he hired another 3 developers this morning.
I did. No, it's growing quite quick. I mean, it's actually quite hard to find the right people, as you might imagine. But we're up to around 20 people, and we've got a whole load of external outsourcers. So it's growing real fast. And it's really good fun. We've got some super talented people on the team, in the game dev team and the full stack team and over on the Solidity side. So yeah, it's all coming together really well. I'm really, really happy with the team and what we're achieving in actually a really short space of time. So yeah, it's good. But yeah, we're going to be growing a lot more, I think, to be honest.
I'm sure you guys will be. And it's always interesting to see. It's like, especially with you guys, probably have some very specialized icons sometimes, and you kind of outsource a couple of things, and you realize really quickly, even with a team of 20, there's probably 100 to 150 people that have like touched the brand in some way and like made impact, which is like pretty cool. And then as you're going to add your community, I'm sure stuff is just going to come out of the woodwork with regards to like the impact that they're going to make, which is kind of the entire reason why, the business model probably is the way that it is.
Yeah, that's super interesting about kind of getting to a stage where we're essentially building in tandem or unison with the actual community. So we have got a few people who sort of reached out and they were just like, hey, I'm an architect, or, I love modeling or doing this kind of thing. Like, how can I help? So we've sort of tried to sort of involve them. And I think that's kind of where, once we get a little bit more codified with where our position is and the alpha's out in the market, then people can start to understand the capabilities, and then we can really look at how to sort of build together, really. And that's, I think, where this kind of build to earn stuff's going to really come into its own light.
And this is a topic we talk about every day at LunarCRUSH, but like, how do you view the community as part of your brand and your marketing efforts? How you're about to go from not being in market to launching, and all of a sudden this community is going to flood in. How do you look at that, and how do you see managing that going forward?
It's definitely a challenge. I mean, it's all time zones and stuff like that we're now sort of sharding it so that there's kind of groups for Turkey, Vietnam, places like that. So yeah, that it can be challenging, and it's really made us think a lot about our communication as well. Like, how do you make we literally have 5 or 6 people all read kind of every piece of medium or post we make, because we're like, is this really clear, or are we actually confusing people? Because a lot of the time, if there's any ambiguity in what you're doing, then it comes back with a million questions and so much work. So that's one thing that we're thinking about a lot. Yeah. I mean, overall as well, one thing that I've noticed that's quite interesting is that there's a wealth of knowledge in the community. And at first you might be kind of, we're not really listening to, you've got so many like signals of information coming in from different places, advisors, or these kind of things, and you maybe don't hear all the information. But then when you actually, we've had a few occasions where we've listened to the community like in depth, and it's turned into like really good things. So they were super keen that we launched on BSC. So I think like 5 days before the IDO, we ended up sort of doing a full BSC integration. You know, there's thousands of holders on BSC because of that. Same, we've been talking a lot about tier one land, which is right next to the singularity, where everyone kind of comes into this metaverse. And there's very limited amounts of it. And we didn't want to make it a kind of a whales game. So we've gone down the route of essentially fractionalizing that land, and then we'll sell it so that even, you know, the person who's got the lowest income is able to get a piece of it, and sort of exposed to that kind of economic opportunity. All community-based ideas, really.
It's a smart narrative with, you know, and that's just a testament to you guys' understanding of the way that this industry and market works, and it's extremely global. And, you know, you can't have a business model where you're charging, you know, an amount that only certain people in London or New York or LA or wherever in the world can afford it, because those aren't like ultimately the people. It's like democratizing an opportunity is important. So it's very nice to see you guys working on that and going down that path.
Yeah, for sure. I think as well, if you look at kind of Axie Infinity and stuff, there was 2 points that I really saw. It's like obviously the majority of the players were coming out of the Philippines, so it's like there's a lot of people that have time and skills who are willing to sort of put effort into these virtual environments. So hey, we need to be one on mobile, because I think 60% of the players were on Android phones for Axie was the last stat I saw.
Wow.
And two, and then facilitate. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, I think they had like millions of downloads of that APK that they did. So yeah, everyone's just sat on an Android device basically playing Axie. So it's like, hey, can you fulfill that market? And then when it comes to like, can we maybe make buildings simple enough that they could create micro games and spaces that rapidly scale a metaverse? So there's so many things to do and places to sort of visit. So yeah, that's kind of our like the reason for these creation tools being made over the next quarter. And then, you know, it's a case of moving into build to earn, and then they create the environments. And then really once you have the environments and the people that are being rewarded for exploring the environments, then I think you have a particularly interesting economic model.
Amazing. Well, you guys, this was super fun. I appreciate you coming on, and, you know, you're building the Metaverse so that infinite microverses can be built and enjoyed and experienced. And I think that you guys are going down the right path with everything. It's really impressive. I'm like super impressed with what you guys have put together. So thank you guys so much for coming on and being a part of this. And again, if anyone out there wants to find Realm.Art, check out the site. Really excited for you guys to launch, and let us know anything that you guys need. More than happy to help kind of be a part of it. And man, I wish I was in there on the beta right now. Just like should be super fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Joban, Matt, thank you for being here. John, as always, and everyone out there listening, thank you so much. And we'll chat with you all backstage.
Thanks so much, John.